We're on.
Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item is approval of agenda.
Hate to disappoint you, buddy. Try to make this relatively painless here tonight and next meeting.
Okay, so right here, a motion to approve it.
Second.
Motion and second, all those in favor? Motion carries. Next item is public forum. This is where public is allowed to comment on any non-agenda items. Is there anybody from the public that would like to make a comment or two?
Do I have to come up there? Or?
No, just please state your name.
All right, Jeff Evie. I'm one of the owners of the golf course and a long-time resident of the town. I believe I was on the committee that searched for the police protection when we decided to go with the sheriff protection. I think that the sheriff that we've had, Matt, and I don't remember the middle names, the guy's name, and Troy now, they do a great job when they're here. My concern is when they're not on. I think the coverage is not very good. I had a few break-ins this summer at the course and waiting 40, 45 minutes for someone to show up because our sheriff isn't on. That's not, I don't think that's what the town was looking for. And the other thing is, like, from some of the old people, remember when we had Joe Gagne, if you had any issues in the town, he'd come over the next day or the day after and say, hey, I heard you had a break-in last night. I was off, but what happened? I don't get any of that from the York County Sheriff. I mean, I've got, the sheriff shows up, whoever's on duty that night, takes the report, does everything. 3 weeks later, you get broken into, it's a different guy. Nobody communicates to anybody else. Like, oh, you got broken into before? Yeah, don't you guys talk? I would have thought like Troy would have stopped by the next week and said, hey, heard you had a break-in, I'll keep my eyes out. I don't even think he knows that I had a break-in. There's not a lot of communication between him and the sheriff. I know that, I think it was a year ago about, I had gone in to see, and when they divided the towns up between the sheriff and the state police, I was concerned because we were the only town that have the sheriff. Like Hollis, Dayton, Lyman, they're all covered by state police. So when our sheriff isn't on, the sheriff that's on could be in Parsons Field or wherever. It's just, I think that the town has to look at that. I don't know if there's a similar thing with the state police, and if we hire a state police, I don't know if they do that. But I just think that it's something that we gotta look into because when he's not on, coverage is not good. And I've talked to a few firefighters and they've said the same thing. They wait too long for a sheriff who's not on. He does a good job when he's on. But if it's more than 40 hours in a week, he's going up.
We'll take it under advisement. We're going to have some discussion on that.
Do the state police have a program then?
I think state police only offer default coverage. I don't believe you can do a contract state police officer. You can only do like Lyman does, where they elect not to have any police coverage whatsoever, so by default the state police covers them. I do have a meeting with the new sheriff coming up this coming week to discuss issues that I've been hearing. I have brought this to his attention, the lack of continuity and their new schedules. The sheriff's department is going to a similar schedule as state police now. So rather than having, different 3 shifts worth of coverage, the sheriff's department is going to do the same thing the state police does. There'll be coverage from 6 to 4. Everybody goes home at 4 o'clock. And then any calls after 4 o'clock go through the supervisor to determine whether or not a deputy will be sent. And so that's what the meeting is next week, is because the fire department, not just ours, but local departments aren't really happy about how that's going to work out. Believe that the new sheriff is making a point that that's how the state police do it, and we don't have
more money than they do, so this is how we're going to have to do it. I just don't know how that's gonna play out over the next few months, because it's already being poorly received in the communities. So Sheriff King and I are meeting next week to go over the issues that I've been hearing. And that was one thing I brought to his attention, because I've heard it not only from Jeff, but from other people, where there's a break-in, there's a, some sort of need for sheriff's coverage, and the different deputies aren't communicating with each other. If Troy were to stop by and see Jeff, hey, how's it going? And, oh, you had a break-in, I didn't know that. So I guess they're gonna work on that as well. So
There should definitely be some follow-up, there's no doubt about that.
absolutely.
Yes, Jack?
In the same vein,
You want to state your name for the camera?
oh, I'm sorry, Jack Reeds. In the same vein, I think that the town has looked at possible consolidation with one of the other local communities, perhaps Biddeford or Kennebunk. And as I recall, the cost was higher, and that was rejected at that time. Perhaps in the course of your taking it under advisement, you can revisit that and see whether it makes more sense. Certainly, we'd have far faster response if we were tied in with either Biddeford or Kennebunk.
I know they reached out to us.
Pardon?
On the fire rescue side, they've actually reached out to us and let us know that on certain occasions, like domestic assaults, we have to stay back for police presence to make
Right.
entrance. They've allowed us to call closest facilities, Kennebunk, Biddeford, because we were running into issues where it was 30, 40 minutes for a sheriff to respond, and here we are sitting in the driveway of the residence, and we can't go in without.
And have you had much quicker response?
Oh, yeah, it's worked great that way, but whether or not, like you had said, I don't know how expensive it would be to contract off hours, 4 p.m. to 6 a.m.
With another town.
with another town, I don't know what that would.
Well, in my situation, there was a visible entrance into the building, so when the first sheriff showed up, which I totally understand, he wasn't allowed, and wanted to go until he back up. So we did another 45 minutes for the second one, so it actually was a Wells PD that showed up with a dog. That's who they got there. So, I mean, the alarm goes off, obviously I hear it, because I'm like next door. Alarm goes off at 11, and we're entering the building at like 1:45. I'm thinking, so that's just not, and then exactly almost 4 weeks later, same thing happened. And they, again, waited a long time until anybody could enter the building.
Okay.
I'll let you know, Jeff, what comes of the conversation with
Yeah,
Sheriff King
and
next week.
if there's a search or anything, I'll be happy to serve on the board of that little committee. We did it a number of years ago. It was before Todd was there. I'm sure some of you remember that. Community search for looking into the police protection.
Does anybody else from the public have any comments, questions they'd like to make to the board? Okay. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Okay, next item, approval of minutes of December 8th, 2014. I might look group them all together. Right? December 22nd, 2014, January 5th, 2014.
On December 8th, on page 3, under H, we have that the board agreed to meet at the town hall office on December 22nd to sign payroll and payables warrant, but it doesn't say what time. And under 7, old business tentative, that last line just kind of shows up. Some trees
Some trees have been
and
cut
cut in the middle.
Metal building
I think you're
taken
talking
out.
about-
Sheds.
Yes.
And on our Monday, December 22nd meeting, it says Mildred Elder Library, and that was held at the town hall.
Anybody else find anything? Motion?
So moved.
Second.
As amended? All those in favor? Committee and board reports.
Budget board will meet Wednesday, January 21st, here in the library at 7 PM. And the planning board will meet Thursday, the 22nd, at 7 PM in the library.
I have not made any of the RSU meetings as of late, or the planning board meetings.
I think CDC's meeting,
EDC?
EDC, I mean, is meeting tomorrow night.
I wasn't sure if they
I
were.
don't know if that's been finalized, but
Okay,
I think I got an email today, I'll go back and check.
all right, if so, I will send an email to the board so that they know.
Okay. New business. Discussion with Curtis Road resident Dana Peck in regards to a possible gift of land to the town.
I apologize for not having anything in the packet. Mr. Peck placed his cards very close to his chest, so this is the first time. And I apologize to you, Dana, I told you I was gonna remind you twice.
So who's the bad guy?
Was it, Dana?
Dana Peck. Having been on your side of the dais at one time, I understand that this is going to be something that will require some discussion, but I'm going to. I need another thumb, you know?
Tell me a few more toes and we'll live forever.
Yeah, please. Maybe even an opposing thumb, something I can swing from the trees.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Dana. Oh, you too. Oh, no.
Well, we do, Dawn, I found it. You can pass it around if you want. I don't have another one, but maybe Dawn will slide that one over. What I'm proposing is that if you hold your match like this with 26 at the bottom right, that's the that's the right orientation. I have 50 acres out there. I'm kind of looking down the road that I don't need that much land anymore for what I'm doing, and so those people who live in the area and know a lot about hunting opportunities in Maine, they hunt that property. I mean, it's good property. It's also a very pristine type of environment out there now too. We've had this property for 20 years, and we bought it from somebody who had just harvested the softwood, the hardwood off the property. So it's grown up quite a bit again. Okay? So I'm proposing that I keep 10 acres for my residents and donate the other 40 acres to the town for a park. I think if we to look down the road, you know, where are we as a community? What are the things we need to be a full community? Are there some things that we don't have as part of our community that would be a real plus? I think one of those is a park, someplace for walking trails, cross-country skiing, wildlife kiosks, right? That people could, just look how the Eastern Trail has been used, just for walking and recreation. This is something that I think would be a benefit to the town, but more importantly for me, okay, I want to keep it wild. I don't want to give it to a land trust, because the land trust can turn around and sell it and give it away and swap and all that other stuff. I'm not interested in doing that. This is family property. I'm the 10th generation on this property. Okay? I'm part of the Curtis and the Taylor families. I would like this to stay in the town as a donation from the Curtis and Taylor families, okay, for the town to have a park. What I'm proposing is that we sit down and look at this, and this isn't going to be done in 2 months. There's going to be a lot of work for you to even decide if you want to take this property and do something with it. You may very well say, after we get into this whole thing, gee, that's a great idea, but it's a can of worms that we don't want to open up, okay? And I understand that. I understand that. Okay? But I'm thinking of something like Log Home Farm and Rachel Carson. There's some good models out there for access for the general public to property, okay, that keeps it as open space and, as natural as possible, yet they still have access to it for hunting, fishing, events, whatever. Okay? And if you look at the property, I have my 10-acre piece which I put there, the 40 acres. My daughter owns the other 41, and Roger Castro owns the property behind it. At one time, that was all mine. I sold it to Roger for a variety of reasons that he wanted to buy it. So Roger owns that 7B, okay? And 7 is my daughter. Okay? Are there going to be some problems with it? Getting access is one thing we'll have to work out. But I'm prepared to sit down with it if you guys want to at least do some due diligence, to sit down and look at how do we make this happen, so the town has something that is long-term, okay, reflective of the community and the heritage that we have, and is a pristine piece of property out there, 40 acres, to do with as we wish, okay, within reason. I have just, my only caveat is I would like to have it called Curtis Taylor Park. That's my only caveat. Okay. Okay. What did I tell you?
Todd Shea Memorial.
Oh, that's right, the Todd Shea Memorial. Because, in parentheses. But I think there's a couple of ways to address the access piece, okay? But I think if we sit down, I would like to involve, if we're going to do this, I would like to involve some of the people who hunt out there, so that they're involved. Some of the, obviously the butters will have something to say about it because that will put some traffic on the road. I would like to think that there's no need from the town's point of view to pave it, okay? And for those of you who know the Curtis Road, okay, once you pave from the power line to the Downing Road, which is what this section is, it becomes a racetrack. It is now with the ground frozen. I mean, the cars that go through there now, and there's a fair amount of traffic, not a lot. Okay? But when that road is frozen, boy, it's a racetrack. A dirt road will keep it down, and obviously they do a good job because they on the other end, okay, from the Irving Road in, with the section that the town owns, they maintain that and they do a great job of that. It's not, I don't think it's a lot of work. Maybe Roger would have some questions, but it's a question of what, I think there should be a plan before you say yes or no. We should come up with a plan for what, maybe whether it's Jen through Parks and Rec or whatever, what do you want that property to look like in 3 years or 5 years if you take possession of that property? So you know what the costs are going to be to manage it, you know what the cost would be of any infrastructure that's being planned to put in there, but we're going into this with a plan to make it a viable part of the community as opposed to just woods that it presently is. Okay? And I'd be willing to serve as part of that, just so that we can know what we're dealing with. And if no is the answer, okay, and it's a good answer, then no's the answer. If you don't want the property. Well,
Quick question.
yeah. Yeah.
I noticed that from the Downing Road, that's plowed now.
Yeah.
Access allowed from the Downing Road through there now?
I'll tell you what, Carol, I'm the only one that's not allowed to travel from the Downing Road in. Okay? And it's one of the parties that owns a certain half of the road. Okay? If they see me on that road, they call the sheriff. Okay? Other than that, okay, everybody travels that road. So I go the other way. Okay? But that's just the way it is.
People actually access the Curtis Road from Downing Road?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's plowed. Yeah, Jimmy plows it because he has a right of way to the back lot. Okay, so he plows it so that Nate and Jim can get in and out of there.
Yeah, it's been open, I noticed it the other day, it looked like it was plowed all the way down, well, as far as you could see anyway.
But this is a recent occurrence.
No, last winter as well. Once Jimmy bought the property, because Jimmy he has a back lot, so he has a right of way on that property. And actually, young Norm Sharon was out there plowing everything back tonight, the whole road. Okay, so it is open.
I didn't notice it last winter,
Yeah.
I noticed it this winter.
So Norm owns everything on the right side of the right of way all the way to you?
Yes,
And
Yeah.
the other guy who owns the other half of the right of way?
yes, but he's got a lot to sell, I don't know if he sold it or not, but no, he's got a lot to sell between he and Jimmy,
Oh, he has?
yeah, so.
Would that be,
And that's on the map, you
would
can
that
see
be
it on the,
six?
you can
Is
see
that
it on the map.
six or-
Oh, you can just see, oh, you can, oh, you can on this map, the full map. If you look at the full map, okay, those are the two Kuchar lots. Right there, he's already gone to the town and split them up, okay? So,
There's a lot behind this house that he's selling.
yeah, yeah.
So-
On the Curtis Road. There's a lot between here and Jim.
Yeah.
Between here and Jim. But, and as Phil knows, because he's done the work on most of it, Phil has rebuilt that road from the Curtis, from the Downing Road to my property, way back when I first moved in there, okay? And then Phil recently rebuilt another section of the road from, and I had Du Bois rebuilt from my house to the power line. And then Phil recently rebuilt from the field about halfway to the power line coming from the other way. So we've put a lot of money into that road just to get in and out of it. And that's why, over the years, you may have heard me say, that there's not a lot of work to be done to that road, okay, to bring it up to specifications other than pavement. Okay, because when Phil rebuilt that section of the road, he built it to town specifications for width and grade and all that other stuff. And that's what we did on the other end as well. Okay?
I like dirt
So-
roads myself, I don't have a problem with dirt roads.
Right, so, but that's, there's not a lot of work to put into that road. There would be just one small section right near the power line on the Irving Road end.
If somebody has a right of way, and this is a legal question, if somebody has a right of way, I know Jimmy does, it came with his deed.
Mhm.
There's no way, and Norman does, Sharon does, there's no way that they can, either one of them can give you an easement or permission to use their right of way?
No. No, the right of way is.
And even if they did, they could only use their half of the right of way, because the other guy won't give you permission to use his half of the right of way.
Well, they can give the right of way, but in this case, when Charlie split that property off, he
Yeah.
took 35 feet from the two-rod road, okay, and they split it down the road, so half of the right of way is off the road, the edge of the road, that's the problem, okay? Now, when Sharon's split their section off, okay, for Cheryl, they took 50 feet from the middle of the road, so they had the 50-foot right of way, okay, from their half over onto, which is now Norm Jr. and Charlotte's piece, okay? And that goes all the way to my property. So there's a 50-foot right of way on the Sharon side, okay? But there's only 35 feet on the other side. So,
But you can't lease or easement a portion of Sharon's right of way.
no, it would have to be deeded. You can only do it, I think that's, from what I've been told, it has to be in the deeds of the people who are using the road. It has to be a deeded right of
Deeded right of
way.
way.
You can't assign rights
Yeah.
to a right of way, that's the
Yeah,
bottom line.
that was-
Is that very accurate?
If you own the fee, you can give anybody who wants the right of way, as many people you want the right of way. But if you have the right of way, unless you have the right to transfer it to somebody else, you can't say.
So it would have to be part of the deed?
A part of deed or another instrument that would just convey the easement. But there needs to be some easement, some instrument recorded in the registry of deeds saying, here's a right of way, for whatever purposes, it might be access, utilities, those types of things. But that's what has to be done.
Like a CMP easement or something
Yeah.
that they record.
But that wouldn't help him out because the other half is on somebody that will.
Yeah, I mean, I go out the stone end all the time. I don't go down there, because every time I do, it's been 2 years since I've been down there, okay? That's how I first met Cheryl Shonat, okay? Supposedly, I went out that way, and I was home the whole time. He understood that there was an issue, but anyway. So I don't go down there, I just don't. I say really, so I have access. It's not, I'm not doing this for access, because I have access. And we've been doing this now for probably 8 years. okay?
For your vision of this park,
Hmm?
would there be access from the Irving Road, not from the Downing Road?
I guess that's what it's a long throw, okay? It's a long throw, that's the thing.
You know, there would be issues with trying to get access for the general public, probably from that landowner.
Yes and no, because everybody on that end of the road wants to put together a road maintenance agreement. There's part of the road maintenance agreement in place out there now, okay? It's a question of maintenance of the road. If the town was, if they were to give the town the access, I think they would expect the town to at least plow it or something like that. Okay, but as far as giving up.
But Kuchar would have to give rights for other people to go down that road.
Yes.
Which today doesn't.
He doesn't now. Correct. But I think there are other instruments that could be utilized that would be a benefit to him as well as to the town to allow people to use that.
And at least get as far as the park.
Yeah, that's all my interest is, so
Yeah.
you have access to the park. So. But again, it's looking down the road at 50 years, you know, what do we want, you know, it's 2015,
Yeah.
okay, and 2045, 2050, okay, and they look back and say, you know, these people had some vision because this spot is clean, it's left that way. It was a park that was designed for the people to have access to and enjoy and look at. I mean, if you ever just bring Rick, excuse me, Ricky LaFlemon and ask him the wildlife that's out there, okay? It's just everything under the sun, you know, that's there. Bobcats,
There
coyotes
was a
are in
big
my
deer
yard
yard out
right
there,
now,
too.
but that's,
Is that subdivided now? It's all 150 acre lot.
it's all 150 acre lot. I had, okay, and when the boys were going through school, when I looked to use this as collateral for school, for loans for school, none of the financial institutions, because this was back in the early 2000s, nobody wanted a house of 50 acres. They didn't want, because the land, they just didn't want to be bothered with all the land. So they said, split it off, okay, so that you have 10 acres, only with the house, and keep the other separate, so it would be unencumbered to me, okay, from the mortgage that I had. The company that I refinanced with did that. But in the meantime, I started a business, and I used this land previously as a second mortgage. Okay, so when I bought out, it ended up with Bank of America. Okay, after it bounced around all over. Everybody in between. I said, I don't want out of business. So I went to Bedford Savings, where I have my accounts for my business, and Bedford said, oh, we'll take it. Well, they had the old second mortgage, what was almost 10 years old. So they just flipped that into the mortgage, and I really didn't pay attention to it, because I didn't see it. Okay, so when I went to look at this, because knowing that I split off 10 acres, it's on the other deed, but it's not, but I signed the deed, I signed a mortgage with Bedford Savings that put the whole thing in there. But they're willing to work. They said they love the idea. They love the idea, so they think, well, I've got the paperwork into it. I'm just waiting to execute it to cut off the 10 acres.
Yeah.
So it's not a big deal.
You said 50 years. 50 years ago, the only farms there were Sharon's on this end, all the way through to the Dale farm. And all it was a narrow road that you could get through with a vehicle. And, I mean, the road was drivable. Actually, in the spring, it was a little bit of a mess, but that was 50 years ago. It was just Sharon's until you got to the Taylor farm. And it was beautiful hunting. Beautiful hunting.
And how many of your blood relatives got deer up there this year?
I don't know, but the one
I
I
know
ever got in my
five,
whole
anyway.
life, I got out there.
Yeah, so, but anyway, I'm asking us to be visionaries to some degree. Okay? The land, the only thing I've done is cut wood off that land. Okay? I'm too old to go out and cut
How many
trees down.
blueberries are out there? How many blueberries?
Oh, blueberries, was covered with blueberries. You got, yeah.
Good. Does anybody else from the board have any questions for Dana?
Dan, how would you envision us moving forward with this? I mean, you said you'd serve on something, you want a committee put together, is that what you're?
Yeah, I think we've got to put together a group of people, because this is gonna have to go to town meeting. And we've got to show, if we decide that this is something to do, we've got to present a good case, okay? Because there's gonna be some costs along the way. Because if we know what the costs are, maybe they'll support it, okay? But I think we have to have a vision to some degree about what we wanna do with that property, so that there is a plan for 3 and 5 years down the road, and the associated costs with doing that. You know, are you gonna put in a parking lot? How big a parking lot? How many spaces? Okay, is it gonna be on the road, off the road, walking trails? You're gonna have walking trails. Who's gonna do the walking trails? Okay, what does that mean? Are we gonna have kiosks to identify the flora and the fauna as you travel around that property? Quite honestly, as most of you know that area, it's very, very wet. I think there's a great opportunity, because there's 3 streams that come through that property, to carve out a pond and still get the flow, the drainage that you need out of that area, but you retain it into a pond before it goes out the other end. It'd be nice to have a pond there, okay, for some wildlife and maybe even, fishing for the kids at some point down the road. I think there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of things that can be done to really give the town a place to go and, just, take a deep breath and sit on a park bench and, maybe look at the birds and, feed the fish or something, I don't know. But I just think it's a great piece of property for that. You can't do much else with it. Okay? There are sections that you could build on it, but that's never gonna happen in my lifetime. Okay? But that's my proposal. If we want to move forward with this, come up with a plan to see if in fact it's something you want to say, yeah, we're going to run this up the flagpole. And we may go through this whole process and say, no, this is just going to be, it's just not going to fly. I'm offering you the property with the idea that you may look at it and say, no, we're not interested, or yes, there's something we can do that will be a benefit of the town. And I'd be willing to serve on that committee, and again, we could come up with people who, I bet if you put it out there, people willing to volunteer for this. I think you'll find a wide variety, because we run into the Historical Society, we run into the birders, we run into the people who can identify every flower in town, where the endangered species are, all that stuff. Those people are out there, we have those people. And they would be good people to serve on a committee like this, for us to look at it and see what is there and is it worth saving.
Speaking of the Historical Society, why don't you mention something about what's going on Thursday night?
Let's get to
Yeah,
that after. we
I will. I will.
Well, now, but that's,
Yeah.
it's, again, it's something that's not on the agenda.
Yeah,
I forgot to mention it.
yeah, so.
Do you think, are there professionals out there? I mean, I suppose there are, which need to develop a piece of property like you're envisioning here. I mean, I'm sure Jen can give us some direction, but I don't think she's necessarily have those qualifications. But I can think about that.
I'm thinking Tad might be a good one to
Maybe, yeah, that's a good
because I
thought.
think he would
I think we
know.
need something like
of
that. This isn't
recreation
gonna work
rates.
because of X, Y, Z. I mean,
Sure.
Because he's a landscape architect as well, and then plus the grants for recreation
Yeah.
areas, he might be a good resource for that.
yeah, because I mean, if it's not gonna work, we can find out pretty soon if we have a professional tell you, it's a nice idea, but.
At least
Guess what?
identify the hurdles that we're gonna have to address if we
Exactly.
want to move
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
The other thought I had, is, which I'm not opposed to at all, is a Veterans Memorial Park. If you make it a Veterans Memorial Park, you probably can get some funding to do something out there. I think that's one of the things that should be investigated if we move forward with this.
There'd be funds for this too. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
There's grants out there for this kind of,
Yeah.
if you made it, a couch such that it was a benefit to the kids
Sure.
and exercise and those types of things. Well, that's something to look at. Part of the whole project.
But again, I think, the Rachel Carson refuge is a great model, at least to look at. Because of Log Home Farm and all the things they do down the Log Home Farm. And they allow it to happen in the Rachel Carson.
Those walking trails out there are beautiful.
Yeah.
So what's the board want to do? They want to move forward with this, maybe get Tad involved, have him take a peek at it? or-
Something that's worth exploring.
So, and have,
We'll just on that.
put on that, see what he comes up with,
Yep.
and then we can take it from there and have him report to us at the next agenda, or, the next meeting.
Absolutely.
Any other comments, questions for Dana?
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Wasn't there a second act here?
Oh, yes.
Or back up the
Yeah, can we go back up to public forum? I'm sorry, I forgot to mention Dana right here.
Oh, yeah.
The Historical Society has this Thursday
This
night?
Thursday, and the third Thursday of January, February, March, and April, we are hosting a history of the, we're building the town of Arundel history, from the inception and going through the culture that developed this town in relation to how we are really, if you look at the history of Arundel, and York County in particular, okay, but Arundel falls right in the middle, we are a true reflection of how the United States or the America evolved into a nation. Right from the first settlers, all the way through to the industrialization, the culture that developed from that, how the Arundel participated in that, how they grew out of that, and the things that I'm going to cover the first session, which is this coming Thursday, is one of the things that those of you may know, when they first started the Pepperell Mill, they needed 1,000 people. Where were they going to get 1,000 people when the population of Biddeford and Saukland together was only 3,000 people in 1840? Where are they going to get those people? Well, they got them from the farm girls. Okay? And from 1850 through 1870, okay, Arundel had over 80 young ladies who worked at the Pepperell as those mill girls. And the advantage was they got paid cash. Okay? If you look down through the census, you'll see the properties of the value of the properties. And these people, we had just started the country. Okay? They didn't have a chance to build anything. Plus, everybody swapped butter, chickens, eggs. Nobody had cash. Okay? But the mill girls, they got paid every day. Now, excuse me, every week, they paid weekly. Okay? They got paid $6 a week. Okay? But it was cash. And they only had to work 60 hours a week. But the flip side of that was if you were an employee, if you worked retail or another type of business, or you were a farmer or landowner, you worked 85 to 90 hours a week. We had an agrarian economy. They had Sundays off, and consequently, that's how the girls show up in the Kennebunkport census, because they were still residents of Kennebunkport, even though they worked and lived in the mill row, the row houses, whatever, during the week when they were working in the mill, because they worked 10-hour days, 10 to 12-hour days. Okay. But it put money into this economy here in Kennebunkport, which was Kennebunkport and Arundel. And you can look through. We have a map of 1850, and you can, and right along Alfred Road, you can look down through those names, and you can see the families that worked in the mill that were closest to access to getting the benefit. Okay, there's a huge history here. Huge history.
So where is that being presented?
Right here, Thursday night, 7 o'clock.
Yeah. And then we're going to go into the Civil War, and we have some documentation of who in Arundel fought in the Civil War, okay, as well as where the battles were, et cetera, so we can see how we contributed to that. And then the last piece in that second section is going to be on immigration. Okay. Immigrants started coming to the Irish came to this community early. But there were about 20 other nationalities that showed up in Biddeford, Saukland, York County era, okay, between 1870 and 1900. And we can see how those people, second and third generations, and you can go to the census and see the names, people buying property, moving into Arundel. You can see how this community is growing from second and third generation people who came over as immigrants early on. I mean, you just gotta look. You gotta look and dig. But there's a hell of a story here. There really is. I entitled this thing, Arundel Basking in the Glory of Democracy. That was the title of the project. And then we'll go into the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, when everybody was leaving town, but businesses started here and they left, and a whole variety of other things. As well as going to have some other guest speakers along the way.
Third Thursdays.
Third Thursday. Be there or be square.
What we talked about.
January, February, March.
April and May too, right there. May is the one then and now.
Yes, May is then and now, the last piece. Where have we come, where are we?
Poster on the town
There is a,
website?
I don't
I'll
know if
email
it's one on the
it
website, but
Remind me.
there's one on.
Yeah, there is one on the website.
There is? Okay.
Yeah, as well as you can bounce to the
Over to the
the
historic site.
Heritage website.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Okay. Next item, town manager's request for clarification from selectmen on life insurance premiums to be paid by the town pursuant to section 5.7 of the town of Arundel personnel policy.
All right, I jumped into a hornet's nest on this one. So, I'm gonna need some clarification. Simone can give you the historical information. The personnel policy states full-time town employees are eligible for health insurance, disability insurance, dental insurance, and life insurance. Premiums for employees shall be paid for by the town. Period. Leave it at that. There really isn't much else that's said there. I went through, we got a bunch of insurance increases, and Lisa actually asked me the question, because when Lisa was hired, I told her that the town will pay one time her salary, that's a benefit that she gets for the town, because it's included with the health insurance. Anything above and beyond that needs to be paid for. Anything above one time, I have been paying for since I started here. Historically, my understanding is that when the town went from Harvard Pilgrim to Maine Municipal Employee, or might not have been Harvard Pilgrim, whoever the insurance carrier was before, the town paid for that one-time life insurance premium. So it's been explained to me that when the town went to Maine Municipal, and it included the health insurance at one time as a salary, that the town continued to pay that second time the salary because it was a premium that they were already paying before through a different company, but it was a benefit that was being given to the employees. As Lisa and I went through, we realized discrepancies. I made changes based on my understanding that the health insurance that is the life insurance that is included with the health insurance is the insurance that's provided. And anything above that, like I said, for myself, I've been paying for my second amount. I got a lot of pushback. I made a lot of people really unhappy. So I need the board to clarify so I can clarify the personnel policy, whether the town will only provide one-time benefit for life insurance, or since there is one-time benefit that's included in the health insurance premium, which we're paying for anyway, but is the town supposed to be paying for that second time's life insurance benefit at the additional $10 or $15? It's $15.60 a month.
Who are you paying that to?
All
No, it's
full-time
it was
employees.
seven something a month.
Was
for
it
one
7
additional.
bi-weekly?
It was seven something every, for the because I was doing three,
Yeah,
and I'm
because
paying
the-
for two.
Okay, so, yeah, 7, it's 3% of the salary.
So the death benefit was 3 times your,
No, see, what happened was, the town was paying for the life insurance and the health insurance for the employee.
right,
When we joined MMA, part of their health insurance benefit was also to include free life insurance up to one time your salary.
that's the death benefit, one
That
time
was
your
the-
salary. Right,
and-
okay.
But that was additional, so John had kept the one time. So that, because basically, like somebody like Wendy or somebody that doesn't choose to do the health insurance still got the life insurance at the one time because the town was paying it. The people who,
You could pay for it without taking the health insurance, you can still buy the life insurance?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
yeah, so basically, somebody that's not getting the health insurance was getting, the town was paying that one time for the life insurance for everybody. And the people who happened to have the health insurance got the bonus because that was included in their plan.
Okay.
But before that, it was like, it was, you know, it was one of the benefits. So that's why the people who have the health insurance, it's like getting two, because the town pays for one and we get the free one for that. The people who aren't on the health insurance get the one-time benefit paid for by the town. And that's why, like, you must have made, you know, apparently between everything that it was mistaken that, you know, the town, in other words, would have paid one time.
Which is that was the case, is I don't take the health insurance. So the town was paying for one time my salary,
Right,
and I was paying for the supplemental life. And
right.
so when we went through this, that's when this all came to light. My assumption is that the intent, when John did this, was to pay for a supplemental life. So the one time that comes with Maine Municipal, then the supplemental, which is a charge to the town, and then they can go up to 3 times, which is paid for by the employee. But when I brought Lisa, when Lisa started, this is where this all came from, is I'm like, well, wait a minute. So I adjusted everybody's pay deductions because I thought that it was being misinterpreted. That caused an outcry and said that that's how it's been since we've been here. So I just want to be able to clarify in the personnel policy that the town of Arundel will provide one additional supplemental life.
At one time you pay.
One time your pay comes with the health insurance.
Supplemental. is-
Yes, one time just supplemental life.
Right.
If you're covered on the health insurance plan. If you're not covered on the health insurance plan, the town will pay for your one-time salary benefit, and anything above that is paid for by the employee, because the way I look at it, I get a check from the town to not take your health insurance. So it's unfair to the other employees that don't get a check for the town to be paying my life benefit plus a supplemental because I've opted out of your health insurance. So if the town is paying an additional, paying the supplemental life for employees that have health insurance, at the same time they should be paying one-time salary for the employees that don't take it. It's equity for everyone, and we move forward, and everything is equal from here on in. But where it's not explained, and I stepped into that, I want to make sure moving forward that this problem doesn't come up again.
But if a town employee has the health insurance
Yes.
plan, gets, through the health insurance plan, gets one-time salary as a death benefit.
Yep.
Plus they get one time, so they get 2 times their salary
Correct?
as a death benefit.
That's how it's always been.
But you don't take
The insurance,
the insurance,
so you get one time.
you get one time.
Correct. Because I'm taking a check to not take your
You
insurance.
get 50% of,
I get 50% back, so for me to be equitable, I don't expect the town to pay for my 2 times death benefit because you're paying me not to take your health insurance. So that's not an added benefit to that health insurance that I get. I just get 1 times my salary, I pay the $770 a month, get my other part myself. And so that, in order to be equitable, that's how it should move forward, in my opinion, and that's how it should be explained in the personnel policy. Unless the board doesn't agree with my interpretation where I don't take the health insurance, I should still get 2 times salary.
but well, the policy doesn't say anything
The
about
policy doesn't say anything at all. And so,
Just says you're eligible.
just going by the policy, I could say, I couldn't determine anything, so I
Right.
had to take from Sim and
Right.
Wendy,
Right.
and everybody who's been there and said, this is why it was done the way it was. The old insurance company didn't offer it, the town bought a supplemental life. This one came with it, they still paid the premium. I agree with that argument, but I just need it clarified in the personnel policy. So if that's the board agrees with that reasoning, I'll put some language in there and present a draft to you at the next
So
meeting.
that's been the practice ever since we've changed over.
Yes,
Right,
So in effect, they're getting 2 times.
correct.
right.
Only
When you
thing-
take
The
the
town
health-
pays for the one time,
Right.
and then the insurance, because the previous insurance didn't have any life insurance, so the town paid for the life insurance.
But John just kept it in the budget when we went to a different
Right.
insurance company.
Right, to make it equitable for everybody,
Yep.
because if you don't take the health, like, so, because basically a few of the employees said, well, why don't I just take the town insurance, but it will cost the town a lot more to do that than it would be to continue doing the one-time life insurance. You know, it was I think it's seven something pay period, so it's
Yes,
$15 a
$7.70
month.
pay period, $15.60 a month for each supplemental unit.
So does the board agree with the practice, the way it's been? If the board agrees with that, then we change the policy to match that.
Absolutely.
Because in other words, if in the future, say, we switch insurance company and they don't carry a life insurance,
Out of your health.
then it's, you know, then it would be an additional, you know what I mean?
Fee.
There would be a,
So either we stay straight across the board, employees will be provided with 2 times salary, or we word it so that there are the 2 different breakdowns, because like Sim said, if the town ever decides to go away from Maine Municipal, and that first time coverage isn't included, understanding that we are paying for it within the health insurance, but it's an added death benefit to that insurance plan. So we can either it could across the board be employees as a benefit will get 2 times salary, which won't cost us any more than we're paying now, because that's how it's been done, or we break it out individually, ignoring what might happen in the future.
You're saying 2 times salary.
Which is what which is what the employees with the health insurance
With
will be
that,
getting.
without getting 1 time salary.
That's correct.
Like,
That's correct.
So at some point in time, if we go to a different insurance company, then that's an issue that will have to be negotiated separately depending on what they offer.
Absolutely.
But the town at that point, the town will always, in their mind, will always pay for one, and if we have to cross that road on, you know, at that point.
if the carrier doesn't do it, it doesn't do it.
Right, and then we make the determination whether we want to pay for that extra, yeah. So,
So if the board agrees on that logic, I will draft a revision of the personnel policy to bring to you at the next meeting that will cover that. Hopefully it'll cover it first shot. You get it in the personnel policy before I go so that it's clean and
Tom, would you agree with that? You all set?
Well, we don't, when I worked at the bank, every year our benefits changed. And we had, the bank paid for our health insurance and it paid for 1 times our salary. And if we want, no matter whether it came with the insurance policy or whether it was from a separate company, if we wanted more than 1 time our salary, we paid for it. Of course, the bank also, if you didn't take the health insurance, they didn't pay you any extra. I think that our employees get fewer benefits than a lot of the surrounding towns. So I don't see the problem with making that an extra benefit of giving them 2 times their salary. Because the time's gonna come, if the insurance company says no, that it's not gonna be included with that, the policy's gonna say 2 times their salary, so we're gonna still end up paying for 2 times their salary.
And see, I don't think that's a problem, that we want 2 times. I think
No.
it's the fact that if you just have the 1 time, that the town pays for 1 time. If the insurance happens to give us the extra one, then it happens to, but if the insurance changes and it doesn't, it wasn't a problem, I don't think, with people at the
we'll
town
make that
office.
determination at that
Right.
point, whether the town wants to go and pay for an additional
Additional one.
one. We'll have to
Yeah.
negotiate that, but
But this makes everybody get the life
1
insurance
time.
at 1 time.
1 time.
And if anybody wants more, they pay for the one, other than the free one.
I can see that.
Jason, you have any comments?
No, I agree. I'm trying to wrap around all the
Yeah.
2 times, 1 time.
Your thoughts, Phil?
Yeah, it took me a while, but I think I got it.
So in other words, the town only
We
pays
should
one
pay for
time.
that one.
Yep.
And that's what we're budgeted for now.
Right,
Yes.
and that's what it's always been, just a one time, that the town pays for.
Yep.
We just happened to luck out when we went with MMA that they gave it free, you know.
Tom, you agree on board?
You think that's fair? I mean, from the other employees, okay?
I think it's, you know, and that way, like it says in the personnel policy that provides life insurance, that way, if somebody opts out for dental or opts out for health or whatever, they still have the life insurance, as one of the benefits is listed. So,
Okay, so, go ahead and draft it up.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay, item C, town manager request for authorization to expend $1,500 from the Public Works Capital Reserve for purchase of a 60 kilowatt generator from the DPS federal surplus property. This is the generator that Roger bought.
Yes, it is. It's a wonderful piece of machinery. It runs now. They had to do a little work to it, but there was a stuck injector on the fuel rail. Everything's up and running. I've been led to believe, I can't say for certain, but that's a $30,000 to $40,000 unit that we have there, $1,500.
It's a big unit.
Yeah, they told us, don't bring a one-ton, pick it up. We were told that the trailer and generator weigh 9,500 pounds, I believe is what, may have been more than that. It's a serious unit.
What's he gonna do with it?
To run the, right now they run only half, when they lose power, they run half the shop on a welder that they have. So they're gonna use it for that, and then if they have to do pumping or they have to do something off-site, it's on a trailer, they can haul it. If we lose power in any of the town buildings, we don't have a generator at town hall, so it'll be a pretty versatile piece of equipment.
There was two of them available in the town of Wisconsin. Got the other one, and I passed them on the turnpike one day, and because I thought Roger mentioned it to me. And I'd seen Roger the next day, and I said, hey, the generator's gone, isn't it? No, I got the first one.
Yeah.
But that's a pretty good sized unit.
All right, so you need a motion to expend those funds?
Yes, please.
So move.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Town manager request for authorization to expend $700 from the contingency reserve account for reimbursable legal fees in regards to the seasonal cottages TIF.
And then they reimburse us?
They do.
And they have been right
And
along.
they have,
Well,
yes.
Okay, so move.
we have a second? We have a
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Next item, Selectmen appoint Simon Bossino as Registrar of Voters for a 2-year period pursuant to 21-A MRS 101.2, January 1st, 2015 to December 31st, 2016.
So move.
How many years, Simone? What's this gonna make it? How many years?
Well, right now I'm starting on year 25. But, well, this year is different because you appoint me every year as registrar, but by state statute, we have to do it like in January for 2 years.
Yeah.
So this is kind of just a duplication of the appointment, but
Second motion.
Okay, we have a second. There's no discussion on this. All those in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, town manager provides selectmen with copies of board assessment review findings of fact and decisions in regard to the Palmville appeal.
I included those in your packet. The appeal was denied, just anticipating moving to the county commissioner's level next, but they agreed with they sided with the assessor.
Okay. Any comments from the board on that? Discussion? No? Okay. Review and sign payroll and AP warrants.
and it's actually just the
Just
That's
agent.
where my amendment should have come, Dan.
Huh?
That's where I should have amended the agenda.
Yeah.
Just say,
Payroll,
Just
AP warrants.
AP. So move.
All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, I'm gonna jump to old business. Anybody got any old business?
No, actually, this is new business. In with the mail you got today, we got something from the Department of State and Maine Department of Transportation to discuss the future replacement of the Bartlett Bridge. The meeting is going to be Monday, February 2nd at 6 o'clock at the Kennebunk Town Office. Yeah, it's in your paperwork there.
It's in this
Yeah.
state of Maine.
and under other business, I'd like to also just reference the letter that was provided to us from Chief Cooper from Fiddler's Mills Fire and Rescue, thanking the fire department, particularly firefighter Neto, Matt Sear, Dave Gontier, and Chris Fremby for a out of the ordinary rescue that they had to make. And I'm going to give Sam a copy if she can keep these with the minutes of the meeting. That'd be great. Thank you, Jason, very much for volunteering your services. And, well, I guess I assume that was you owe you a Sawzall blade of 6.
Okay. So So the next item here will be executive session pursuant to 1 MRS 405.6A to discuss a personnel matter. Motion for that.
Move.
Motion